The run to the playoffs is officially on for your Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome into this edition of the Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are going to break down the playoff picture for the Kansas City Chiefs. What does it look like for the postseason for Kansas City when it comes to making the playoffs, getting a first-round bye? We will dissect everything you need to know, go over the schedule, some potential matchups that we have coming up down the line, and we will also go over some analytics here in just a bit. If you want the Chiefs to get that number one seed in the AFC, like the video, don't jinx it. I've been told if we get at least 500 likes on today's video, that pretty much guarantees the Chiefs get home field. Just trust me on that. Don't jinx it. Don't make me come find you because you didn't like today's video. Do your part. Hit that like button. We'll get started with today's show. The Chiefs are in great shape. Coming off the loss to the Buffalo Bills, they are still in a really good spot when it comes to not only just obviously making the postseason, but getting that number one seed in the AFC. You look at the AFC standings at the moment, and as follows: the Chiefs at that number one spot at 9-1, the Bills at 9-2, the Steelers at 8-2, the Texans at 7-4. The wild card spots right now belong to the Chargers at 7-3, the Ravens at 7-4, and the Broncos at 6-5. And then there's still some teams fighting for potential wild card spots. But let's focus at the top for a moment here when it comes to that number one seed. You can pretty much narrow this down to about 5 teams that have somewhat of a chance to be the number one seed. And it's really about 3 teams at this point: Kansas City, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. And it would take a miracle for Houston or Los Angeles to potentially get there. But at least that's where they're at right now. So the Chiefs, even though that they lost to Buffalo, they still have that one-game edge. And then they also have the tiebreaker, Buffalo does, from the head-to-head of that win against Kansas City. The AFC West, I mean, barring a collapse, Kansas City's in great shape to win this division here with already a win over the Chargers. So not only do you have that 2-game edge, but you also have that head-to-head against LA. There's another game coming up here pretty soon as well against the Chargers. And so according to The Athletic, their playoff predictor, the Chiefs have a greater than 99% chance to make the postseason. They are pretty much in. We're not worried about making the playoffs at this point. We're not even really worried about the division here, as the Chiefs' chances to win the division currently sits at 93%. So another AFC West title for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and company seems to be on the horizon. Now, when it comes to the first round bye, getting home field advantage in the AFC, they're in great shape for that right now. 63% chance to be that number one seed in the AFC at the moment. And then to make the divisional round, whether that be through a first round bye or having to play in the wild card round, their chances of winning that game or advancing simply by having that bye week is pretty good at 86% at the moment. Let's look at the upcoming games ahead for Kansas City and their chances, according to The Athletic, of winning these games that are ahead. You start with the Panthers game. The Chiefs have about an 83% chance. Same number for the Raiders game coming up on Black Friday to win that one. The Chargers game at home, the Chiefs have about a 67% chance. And then the road game against the Browns, they have about a 75% chance. And then down the stretch, the final 3 games, you take on Houston at home. The Chiefs have about a 68% chance there. Their toughest game, according to the analytics, is going to be that Steelers game on Christmas on that Wednesday afternoon, where they have about a 58% chance. Still favored to win that one. And then wrapping up with the Broncos Week 18, about a 61% chance. And hopefully by then, the Chiefs have home field locked up where Week 18 doesn't matter anyway. According to The Athletic, based on all those numbers you saw there, the Chiefs are favored in every single game left. But in their simulation models, there is an expectation that they will drop a couple down the stretch, even though they are favored. Don't ask me how it works. It's all in their computer numbers. I'm not the guy to shoot in this case, all right? But the final record prediction, according to The Athletic, is 14-3. And if you finish 14-3, you're in a great spot. I mean, you're looking at that point where Buffalo would, if the Chiefs are 14-3, let's say Buffalo, for example, they have 2 losses, Buffalo would have to play near perfect down the stretch to make up that gap here going forward. You're at 14-3. I don't think Buffalo's going perfect down the stretch. You're going to be in a good spot. You're going to more than likely have home field at 14-3. What will be the Chiefs' final record? Get your predictions in the comment section. Let us know. How do you think this will finish up for Kansas City? Weigh in and let us know. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players in any given category. Get the choice of more or less. Whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey. And PrizePicks got a great deal they're offering. They will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. This week at PrizePicks, going with Mahomes to have more than 236.5 passing yards. Also going with Xavier Legette of the Carolina Panthers to have less than 39.5 receiving yards. If I put $20 down, both those hit, that turns into $60 on PrizePicks. Play along with me, PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. So let's take a look at the first-round buys odds according to The Athletic. We showed you the Chiefs number earlier at 63%. Their chances to get home field advantage are pretty good. And you compare that to everybody else. The Bills are at 27% with the next highest odds. And then we start to see a significant fall-off. The Steelers at 6%, the Texans also at 2%, and then the Chargers at 2% as well. The Ravens, their chances are about less than 1% at this point. So the Ravens are pretty much out of the first-round bye sweepstakes. And it's really just about the 3 teams at the top as far as that goes. And one thing that's been asked, you've heard the haters and the losers and the naysayers say that this Kansas City Chiefs team, they ain't that good. They're just lucky. Well, The Athletic, in their simulation models, took every team in the league and put their numbers in on how they add up to the rest of the league on a neutral football field. The Chiefs' offense is worth about 25.5 points per game based on what we've seen so far this year, and that's for without Isaiah Pacheco for the most part. That's without having Hollywood Brown, who should be back for the postseason, so pretty solid number. The defensive number, compared to the rest of the league, about 20 points per game, a little bit higher than I would like, but when you go to the overall number, it's manageable. About 5.5 points per game that they are on average better than their opponents. And that, to me, says that this team is in good shape for that playoff push if they have that much of an edge on everybody else, despite what people maybe think of this team. The key for Kansas City of trying to get home field and all this going forward is going to be to watch out for Buffalo and Pittsburgh. They are really the only teams that could potentially stand in their way. Already lost to the Bills. You got a game with the Steelers coming up here pretty soon. Let's go over their schedules. Buffalo on a bye this week. Then they take on the Niners. The Niners are a hungry team trying to make the postseason. Just lost to Seattle this past week. They're hanging on for dear life by a thread right now. Then they get the Rams. Rams in a similar situation to the Niners. Very competitive division. That's a must-win game for Los Angeles. Tough outing for the Bills. And then they play at the Detroit Lions to look like the best team in the NFC right now on the road. The Bills are not going to be favoring that game. So those 3 games, very tough. But then the final 3 games for Buffalo is pretty manageable. You get New England at home. Then you play the Jets. I'll say this, though. The Jets, you still have Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, Hassan Reddick, a number of guys there, Sauce Gardner. They can still beat anybody on any given week. So it's not a given, but we'll see. And then you wrap up with the New England Patriots on the road there on January 5th. Then the Steelers schedule. They get the Browns tonight. Should be a win, but it's Thursday and it's on the road. Then you play the Bengals on December 1st, that game on the road. And then the Browns again. And then you take on Philadelphia in a rivalry game against one of the better teams in the NFC. So 2 out of 4 there can be kind of difficult for Pittsburgh there on that front. Then you take on the Ravens. The Ravens are a great football team, and you play them on the road. Tough matchup for them. Followed by Kansas City just a couple of days later there for Pittsburgh. And then they wrap up with Cincinnati. So not an easy stretch down the finish for this Pittsburgh Steelers team if they want to get home field advantage. It's pretty easy for Chiefs fans out there. If you need a rooting guide of sorts, just root against Buffalo and Pittsburgh. I think the Chiefs can get there on their own without needing help, that they control their own destiny. They should be able to get home field advantage just fine. But even with that said, if Buffalo or Pittsburgh drop a couple down the stretch, I will not be complaining. Will the Chiefs win home field advantage in the AFC? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Get your predictions in now. Let us know. For the best Chiefs coverage around, you got to subscribe to the Chiefs Report. We'll bring you daily news and rumors, sometimes 2 and 3 videos a day, like today. We also have our live shows each and every Tuesday, watch parties on game day, including this Sunday, all right here on the Chiefs Report. Sub it up. Join the family. We have a great time. You'll have a great time with us. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Now, for Kansas City's vantage point over the next final stretch of the regular season, this is manageable. I think the only thing that can stop the Kansas City Chiefs is themselves. Don't beat yourself. Don't get piled up with injuries and all that. And this Chiefs team should be fine. You play Carolina this week. Come on. It's Carolina. Then you play the Raiders on Black Friday. Although we should learn not to underestimate the Raiders after what happened on Christmas last year. Chargers at home. That was a tough game earlier in the year. Chargers have played some good football as of late. At Cleveland, you should be fine there with that one. And then you finish down the stretch. Houston, Pittsburgh, and then at the Denver Broncos. And hopefully that game against Denver, you're not even playing your starters at that point. And I think the Chiefs going into this weekend, this is a perfect get-right game opportunity against this Carolina team. They are not very good. Chiefs need to kind of get back on track and wake up after that loss to Buffalo this past week. I think that this is where the Chiefs kind of insert their will and remind the rest of the league who they really are. I think they're going to have a dominating win this week. Who do you got? You going with Kansas City? You going with Carolina? Type KC for KC. Type CAR for Carolina. Weigh in. Let us know. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.